This is CJ back again with the GOAT Sports Talk, the greatest of all time. We discuss, of course, everything that's going on in sports throughout the world. Of course, we know the major sporting event tonight is Game 4 of the NBA Finals with Golden State up 3-0. And pretty much we have a situation where it's elimination. It could be a sweep where Golden State is looking to be the first team to completely run the table and finish the postseason undefeated, and pretty much potentially cap themselves as probably, potentially the greatest team ever assembled. And right now we have an underdog situation with Cleveland. Of course, we know last year they came back from 3-1, and they were able to win 3 straight games and defeat the Golden State Warriors in an epic all-time great battle in sports history, not just basketball. We're talking about in sports history. And now we have a situation where potentially, although very small percentage chance that history could be made again, if somehow, some way, the Cleveland Cavaliers can pull the rabbit out the hat again and shock the sporting world. What they got to do is take everything one game at a time. The other game, we did talk about what each team needed to do. This time, we're going to disregard Golden State, okay? Because Golden State has been doing what they're supposed to do. There's no reason to really even game plan for them or even talk about what they need to do. They know exactly what they need to do, and they do it. But with Cleveland, it seems like at times they're confused. They don't know what they need to do. But I'll tell you this, it's not going to be a good look for LeBron if he loses on his home floor. Now, has it happened with other players? Yes, there's some players that are considered top 10 all-time greats that have actually been swept twice in the finals. Magic Johnson, one of them, okay? But it's not talked about because history only really remembers the winners, and it does remember the losers, but it doesn't really remember too much how they lost, unless it's in a dramatic fashion. So, LeBron, we're going to just start with him, because the Cleveland Cavaliers starts with him. You got to look at what a Cavalier is. A Cavalier was one that was loyal to the king. Okay, so it's fitting that his name is that the name of the team is Cavaliers and his nickname is King James. But at this point in his career, he's playing great basketball. I mean, he's 32 years old, but he plays like he's 28, 29. Physically, he's dominant. He has amazing energy, quickness, speed, burst, all that stuff. He looks great. He takes care of himself very well. But all the work that you put on throughout the offseason, your doctors, your staff, taking care of your body. With the season probably coming to a close, there's no reason why LeBron should not shoot the ball at least 35 times. I mean, that's just keeping it all the way real. It's possibility that LeBron may have to drop at least 45 to 50 points for them to come out with a victory. And to be honest, he's going to have to put up Herculean games back to back to back to back, literally, for them to probably even have a chance at even winning the series. But again, they have to take it one game at a time. So he has to be extremely aggressive. He might end up with 20 rebounds if he comes out to play, because a lot of times if you're mentally checked out, which in a situation where a lot of people felt like he was mentally checked out in the press conference, and he seemed pretty calm heading into Game 4, and a lot of people probably thinking that his calm demeanor might mean that he kind of just giving it up. The biggest thing, he has to establish the confidence of his teammates, so he's going to have to establish aggressiveness out the gate, really between him and Kyrie. And I believe that they're going to be very aggressive, and the rest of the team will have to follow suit after that. And Klay Thompson, he's just, not Klay Thompson, but Tristan Thompson, the other Thompson. Tristan Thompson is going to have to grab about 15 boards today. How in the world is he going to be able to do what he hasn't done in the last 3 games combined? I don't know. But he's going to have to act like Dennis Rodman today and completely take away possessions from Golden State, or they have no chance of winning. I can tell you this, if he doesn't have a good game, and I'm talking about at least 10 boards, it's not so much the points, but if he's not putting in the effort, if he's not grabbing into double-digit rebound-wise, he's going to be very heavily targeted, by the Cleveland sports fans for his play this series. It's almost inexcusable. You're called to do one thing, you're big, you're strong, you're athletic, and you can't even do it. You're just grabbing rebounds. I'm not saying grabbing rebounds is easy, but This is his calling card. This is what made him get that big contract, was his ability to crash the offensive boards, get putbacks, and he's just not doing it. Going down to Kyrie. Kyrie's just gonna have to play like he did last game. Period. There's nothing else to say. That's it. Kevin Love. He had basically made one field goal. He did have about 13 rebounds. Led the Cleveland Cavaliers in rebounding in Game 3. However, offensively, as good of an offensive player he is, his inside-outside game, of course, he has no in-between. He has no ability to really take somebody off the bounce. But he does stretch the floor with his shooting range, and he is able to get into the posts and mix it up a little bit. Cleveland is going to have to basically make sure that he's engaged offensively throughout the game. I mean, a lot of times early on in the series, he was actually scoring very early on, and then they went away from him. I don't know why they wouldn't mix it up every once in a while. And I guess because what happens is Cleveland ends up falling into the hands of the pace of Golden State, which basically takes away the ability to really establish the post, which is pretty much something that maybe both LeBron and him will have to do. I know that sometimes as coaches and players, they don't like to be told what they're supposed to do, and they don't want to enact that game plan because they know if they do it, it'll be like, well, why didn't you do that from game one? And it's amazing the way that they've been playing, but really, when it comes down to it, what are some of the things that they're doing? They cut down on the problem of the turnovers first game as a team. The bench is pretty much atrocious at this point. J.R. Smith showed up. Iman Shumpert is not doing anything. He might have to hit at least a couple of threes. They're probably going to need about 3 3-pointers from Culver, about 3 to 5 3-pointers from J.R. Smith, and then basically the rest of the guys have to fall into play as far as offensively. I don't think they should expect much out of Deron Williams. I'd be surprised if he does something, because he just looks completely out of it. This is a serious thing right now. So at the end of the day, end of this whole thing, they got to basically play as if this is their last game they're ever going to play in the NBA. I think if they take that approach of not wanting to be humiliated, not wanting to live their career, and always remembering how they got blown out 4-0 pretty much and lost in their own floor, and that's always going to be etched in their mind, they have to remember what it felt like to have lost 2 years ago, and not want to have that feeling again in order for them to pull this out. They have to have that mentality. And if they have that mentality and everybody shows up with that mentality, they should be able to squeak away with a win. Because that's when your back's against the wall, a lot of times that's when their players play their best. And best believe that, these guys, if they're really their backs against the wall and they really want to win this game, they're gonna let that thing fly. When they get the ball and they're open, they're not gonna be hesitating to let it go and shoot that three. LeBron's not gonna be hesitant to go into the paint and actually score and not defer. I don't even really, to be honest, I don't even want to see him have more than 7 assists this game, to be honest, unless those are all 3-pointers. I mean, I don't know, but he's going to have to be extremely aggressive. I mean, he might have to drop 50, 50, 12, and 7 tonight. You know what I'm saying? And if he does that in a losing effort and people see he played that game and they'll just say, hey, listen, he just had to have a good team. He played valiantly, but that was it. I think that can somehow, in a way, soften the blow against his legacy. Of course, a win will help a little bit better because everybody knows they're outmatched, but at the end of the day, hey, this is an amazing Golden State Warriors team, and this team that's put together is something that no one would have ever thought would have been assembled, but it was, and it was in smack dab in the chase of the ghost for LeBron, and that just shows you the greatness of LeBron. They respect him that much that they had to bring the second best player in the world on a 73-win team. So we'll talk about that. We'll see what happens post game. We'll discuss what happens, hopefully sometime over the weekend. Probably won't be able to get to it tonight, but we'll definitely have some analysis. We'll look into different topics. We'll definitely be able to go into some different things. So hopefully y'all are, are edified with this, and, hey, may the best team win. I really have no dog in the fight, but at the end of the day, we want to see a series. Some of us want to see a series. If you want the NBA Finals to continue going, then you want to see, a win by Cleveland. If not, yeah, if you're a Golden State Warriors fan or you dislike LeBron that much, then of course you want it to end tonight. So, all right, so that'll be it. See y'all next time, and we'll do a follow-up for Game 4.